Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10 and support the channel at the same time. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to this special edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. And it is finally here, Core Set 2019 Pre-Release Weekend. All week we've been talking about the cards you want to open this weekend from a gameplay point of view. Well, today, it's the Market Watch, so we're going to talk about the cards you want to open from a financial point of view. And the reason I think these videos are important is simply because even though, yes, these price points will shift in the coming weeks as more packs get open and some of these cards make it into standard decks and such, but at least for this weekend, when you're at your game store and you open your cards and you play your tournament, at the end, sometimes you like to make some trades, sell cards back to the store. I want to make sure everybody is on the same page, doesn't get pulled into a bad deal. So that's what this is all about today. So let's get right into it. We're going to begin with two honorable mentions. These are cards that are technically part of Core Set 2019, but they are not in the regular booster packs. Tezzeret, Cruel Machinist at $11. This is the most expensive of the 5 Planeswalker deck Planeswalkers, and even though I don't see this card crossing over into Standard or anything like that, mostly due to the casting cost, I do feel like this is still a really fine casual card. It could be a lot of fun in some commander builds. What I like most about it is, yeah, it does cost 6, but you get 4 loyalty. The +1 is simply draw a card that can actually be really good for you. The 0, super relevance in artifact builds, and the -7 is a very unique and odd ability that you don't typically see. And I would expect this price to go down within the coming weeks, especially in another week. These will all be hitting the big box stores, so a lot will get into circulation. But expect this deck to be the one that sells out of your Targets and your Walmarts first. Our second card is Nexus of Fate at $24.29. This is the Buy a Box promo. The only way to get it is to buy a booster box from your LGS. As long as supplies last, you'll get one of these cards. Now, we've talked at length in other videos about how people feel about this, so I won't do that today again. But just know that because these are a little more restricted, there is a little bit of a panic buy going on right now, and that's why the price point is around $25. Once these things actually get in circulation, I would expect it to go down a little bit. The big question mark, though, with this card is, unlike the previous Buy a Box promo, this card feels like it has potential in a modern build that would be taking turns. There are some people trying to see if it's good there as we speak. If it turns out that that deck actually wants a copy or more of this, then down the road, you could see a potential price spike here. But at least for the short term, I do think this will go down. If this doesn't work out in the Taking Turns deck, I do think it will go down maybe a little bit more. It will stabilize quicker. But over time, it will creep up because, again, it's a little harder to get your hands on, and a lot of casual players will still want this card. Hopefully, Wizards will find a way to reprint these Buy a Box promos and allow players to get their hands on them to keep the price down in the not-too-distant future. All right, let's move on to the actual top 10 Core Set 2019 cards with the highest value. These are the ones that you could open this weekend. Number 10, Vivian Reed at $8.60. So you're going to see a thread here between a lot of the cards. Most of the cards on our list are actually cards that probably will see a little standard play, maybe not surprising. But what was surprising to me was all 10 of our cards today are Mythic Rares. Now, usually most of the cards on these lists are Mythic Rares, but some rares will break in, like some strong performing rares. But this particular time, all Mythics. So we start with Vivian, Attorney at Law. And what's interesting about this card is I have seen people brewing like Selesnya mid-range decks with her. So I do think she has some potential to be in Standard and actually see at least a little bit of play. Maybe even a sideboard card, considering White does have a lot of enchantment removal, and this is a way to deal with enchantments that actually gives you other benefits as well. The 5 casting cost, even though it is 5 loyalty, is on the cusp of being a little too much for me just simply because this card is dependent heavily on board state. That makes me a little nervous, but I do think it sees a little play at least. Number 9, Chromium the Mutable, $9.65. This is one of the Elder Dragon Legends, of course, and this one I do think will see some standard play in Esper Control builds, maybe as a finisher. I think you're going to see that like week 1, people trying it out. If it pans out, then of course it will continue throughout the season. If it doesn't, then maybe Chromium disappears and stabilizes down quicker. Time will tell. The other thing you want to remember about this card is a lot of commander players will want to get their hands on it. All these dragons that fit into tribal dragon decks are going to be popular, at least for a while, among those players until they start to get copies for their collection. Especially considering that dragons had the out-of-the-box commander deck about a year ago. There's a lot of people that are looking to pick up upgrades, and this is going to be a good one for them. Liliana, Untouched by Death. $10.03 coming in at number 8. And Liliana will see some standard play in a zombie build, I think. We're at the point that we still have some zombies from the sets that are going to rotate out this fall, so this might be the one chance this card has to truly shine, and I think there are going to be players taking advantage of it. Mono Black was on the cusp of being a thing when the last set dropped, so I think if you have some strong Mono Black cards that are still floating around out there, throw in the whole zombie mechanic, I actually think you might have a deck here. Will it be a top tier deck? Well, I guess we'll find out, but I do think a lot of people are going to try this. Secondly, again, let's talk about Commander. Zombie Tribal is definitely a thing, whether it's Commander or other casual formats. So again, you got crossover appeal here. Number 7, Sarkhan Fireblood, $12.08. I think we're going to see a dragon build too, actually, believe it or not. I have seen some people testing it out, and I was a little skeptical of this card in Standard at first because it is so dependent on dragons, much like Lily is so dependent on zombies to be good. But if a dragon deck can pull it off, and we still have Glorybringer, remember, which is a hard hitter, then there's a chance. I feel like it could be Naya colors, something along those lines, but I do feel like this has a shot. Again, even if it doesn't work out in Standard, you're going to have all the Commander players definitely wanting to pick up a copy, especially if they're into the dragon builds. Number 6, Ajani, Adversary of Tyrants, $12.62. I think this is another candidate for our Selesnya mid-range deck. I could see this here. Much like Vivian, I get a little nervous because this card is pretty heavy on board state dependency, but for 4 mana, for loyalty, I feel like enough consistency could be found here to still see at least a little bit of standard play. I also wonder if this could revitalize like a cat deck because there's still a lot of good cats out there. So ultimately, I think this card does have potential, much like most of the others we've seen today. Number 5, Scapeshift, $15.08. I don't think people are looking super hard at this, at least not yet for Standard, although someone might figure it out. But of course, this is a reprint of a spectacular Modern card. As a matter of fact, the Scapeshift or the Titan Shift decks, a lot of players have been wanting to buy into those for a while. Unfortunately, this card being from Morningtide and never being reprinted made it kind of expensive. Well, now you have a much cheaper way to buy into that deck, and people are doing it now. I do think as packs get open over the next few weeks, this will go down a little more even before it stabilizes and starts slowly climbing up again over time. Number 4, Resplendent Angel, $19.41. I think we're going to see an Orzhov life gain build in Standard. Again, another deck that a lot of people are experimenting with before the set comes out, trying to figure it out. And I do think someone will perhaps get there. Will it be a top tier deck? Again, we'll have to wait and see, but this is definitely a part of that deck. Again, another fantastic crossover card, though. That's what all these have in common. There's a lot of casual players that will play with Angel Tribal or just simply life gain. Number 3, another reprint here, Crucible of Worlds, $21.87. This sees at least a little bit of play in Modern, Legacy, Vintage, and more importantly, though, huge casual card that people have been waiting for a very, very long time to get reprinted. Much like Scapeshift, I do think when packs start circulating, this will come down a little bit more. Eventually it stabilizes, maybe closer to the $15, $18 mark, and then slowly starts to rise again. Eventually someone might figure out something to do with it in Standard too. That could be kind of sweet. There are some interesting interactions, maybe with deserts. I guess we'll have to see if that works out. I haven't seen a lot of those decks, though, working out in early brews, but it's still, of course, very, very early. Number 2, Tezzeret Artifice Master, $24.10. And this card is definitely going to play well with Karn in Standard. As a matter of fact, I've seen some brews, some Is It Artificer brews, and they look kind of good. Again, these decks are going to be tested by a very streamlined, very efficient Standard format that it's at the end of its rotation cycle. So it might be tough for some of these new decks to break through, but this one, I don't know. I feel like it maybe has a chance. It looks pretty good. Aside from that, again, this is an awesome card. Just generally, like it probably could show up in a number of different builds because this thing defends itself really easily with the +1. It's not all that off the -9 considering the +1 defends it, and that 0 to draw cards is great too for 5 mana. And number 1, was there any doubt? Who else could it be? Nicol Bolas the Ravager, and of course he transforms into Nicol Bolas the Arisen. $38.48. Wow. I do see a lot of brewing going on right now in Nicol Bolas. A couple of prominent decks that have been trying to use this card have been the Dragon builds. I've seen that quite a bit, and also Grixis midrange. And both of those builds are running usually 3 or 4 copies of this card. So this is a card that at least early on, a lot of people do have some high hopes for. I'm going to tell you this though. It is a little expensive to transform, and it is a little fragile, I think, as a 4/4 flyer, especially considering it's dependent on the 3-color consistency. So again, this is a very streamlined format. Will this just get outpaced by things like Glorybringer and Rekindling Phoenix and Chain Whirler? We just don't know yet if this card's going to be able to stand up to the environment. But again, maybe post-rotation it has a better chance. Regardless, this is Nicol Bolas. The card's super sweet. People are going to try to make it work. Worst case scenario, this ends up like the last Nicol Bolas Planeswalker that we saw in Standard. It gets a little play here and there for a while, sometimes on his sideboards, and then eventually people kind of move off it onto other things. Now, again, why is this price point around $40? It's not just because of Standard right now. Casual players, Commander players, they want this card too. Of course, for Dragon Tribal, among other builds. The card just has a lot of raw power behind it, just generally. I would expect this to come down maybe a little bit in the short term as packs get open, but if any of those decks start to do well, this card does have potential to maybe at least spend a little time between that $40 and $50 mark. Alright, with that being said, that is the Market Watch for today. Hey, let me know how your pre-release goes this weekend. Hopefully you get some awesome pulls and get some good results. And tomorrow, we're going to be back with another edition of the Market Watch, our regular one. We're going to talk about everything outside of the Core Set 2019. So until next time, hey, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible by the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.